Why hello there, my name is Chev, and welcome to my first ever tier list video. That's right everybody, I'm doing content. I've been thinking about what kind of other content I want to do outside of my main Nuzlocke series, and I thought this might be a fun thing to do. You see, my brain naturally enjoys sorting things into neat categories, and it also likes Pokemon too, so this just makes perfect sense. It's honestly a bit of a self-indulgent project for me. Alright, let's start by setting up some ground rules. First of all, I'm going to be using the rules from my Nuzlocke Gauntlet series as the basis for this and all other future tier lists. If you're just stumbling across this video and don't know what I'm talking about, please go and check out my Every Gen Hardcore Nuzlocke series. Episode 0 will give you the whole scoop about my rules, but for a brief TLDW, it's a hardcore Nuzlocke, which means playing on set and no healing items in battle, and that I am not allowed to use legendaries at all. So for all of my tier lists, I won't even be bothering to tier any legendaries, since it isn't relevant to my runs at all. I also PK Hex trade evolutions, so I will be tiering those Pokemon. However, I will also be tiering the unevolved versions of trade Pokemon in case you aren't using PK Hex or you can't trade. Okay, next, let's talk about the tier list itself. I'm going to be doing a tier list of all of the Gen 1 Pokemon based on how they perform in Gen 1. And by Gen 1, I mean Red and Blue, not Fire Red and Leaf Green. I may one day come back and do a separate tier list based on Fire Red and Leaf Green, as there are quite a few differences between them and the lists would end up being very different as well. But for this video, we will be focusing on just the first generation of games, except for Yellow because I'm not playing it in my challenge. So why am I focusing on just Gen 1? Well, for starters, I haven't actually seen a lot of comprehensive tier lists around this topic specifically, so I thought it would be fun. Nobody's really doing Nuzlockes of Gen 1 these days. They typically just stick to Fire Red or Leaf Green. But secondly, the main reason why I want to stick to Gen 1 is because between the old lore runs and this current challenge that I'm doing, I have played Gen 1 a lot. I think this might be the generation I have done full playthroughs of the most because of this. In those playthroughs, I have learned quite a lot about this game, and I have some thoughts. So if you're interested in maybe going back and trying these games again as a Nuzlocke, or you're just interested in knowing how these Pokemon performed in these old pieces of garbage, then I got you, fam. Alright, now let's talk about how I am going to be judging these Pokemon. I am going to be focusing on 3 main criteria when evaluating these Pokemon and deciding what tier they end up in. Let's start with the first criteria, what I like to call the hard factors. These are things like the Pokemon's stats, typing, and move pool. These are the main surface level aspects of a Pokemon that you can look at and see what they are and aren't good at, and also what they're capable of. The hard factors are definitely a very important part of a Pokemon, arguably foundational, but the hard factors are only one part of a Pokemon. There's also the second criteria, the soft factors. The soft factors are more of the contextual aspects of the Pokemon. Is their typing good against the big fights of this game? Do its stats line up with the specific role that the Pokemon wants to be able to fulfill? Does it have a particular niche it can fulfill that other Pokemon can't? Does it have an overworld niche that helps you complete the game easier? The soft factors aren't as quantifiable as the hard factors, but they can make or break a Pokemon. There are many Pokemon who have great stats or moves, but end up not being that great in whatever game they're in because they just don't actually do anything for one reason or another. Meanwhile, there could be Pokemon who don't look good at first glance, but end up being able to do something crucial in your run to help you secure your victory. And finally, the third criteria, availability. When can you get the Pokemon, and how easy is it to get? There are many instances in every Pokemon game of Pokemon who on paper look like they would be good, but by the time you're actually able to get them, they just don't actually have much usefulness. There are also examples of some Pokemon where they might actually be a pretty decent member of your team, but the only way to get it is via in-game trade, and you have to give up an even better Pokemon to get it. Availability will not be very heavily weighted when tiering Pokemon, but it can certainly be something that makes or breaks a Pokemon's placement on the list. So that's the grading system for how we will be assessing Pokemon. The only thing left to establish is the tiers. I think I'm going to go from the top down, so let's start with the S tier. S tier is the cream of the crop. Ooh yeah. These are the undisputed GOATs. If you are serious about winning your run, you should be prioritizing each and every one of these Pokemon. Even just getting one of these Pokemon can exponentially increase your run's odds of succeeding. It's the big boys club. Ooh, big boys. Next, we got A tier. This is the tier for Pokemon that may not be the top dogs, but they're still excellent encounters. They are Pokemon who you will still want to be prioritizing and will be staples of your run. They may just have 1 or 2 things about them that keep them out of crossing into undeniable GOAT status. Every Pokemon in the A tier will be one that you will be more than happy happy to have as an encounter. Now for B tier. The B tier is for Pokemon who are still good, but they aren't great. Maybe they have some glaring flaw, maybe they just don't stack up to some of their contemporaries, maybe they're good but not very accessible or worth the trouble. Now I would certainly not be mad at getting any of the Pokemon in this tier in any of the runs. These are still going to be more than useful, but they aren't going to be quite as run defining as the A and S tiers. Alright, now it's time for C tier. The C tier is for Pokemon that are just okay. These are Pokemon that may have some good qualities to them. Hell, they might even have some good niches, but are overall lacking or underwhelming in some other key areas. Now that's not to say that they are bad, they're still usable, but this is definitely the tier where you're gonna start seeing the Pokemon that are really beginning to struggle in your playthroughs. So yeah, not bad Pokemon, but also not good ones either. D tier. Oh boy, now we're getting into the shit. D tier is for Pokemon that don't really have a lot to offer you. They're subpar in a lot of the hard factors, don't have much going in the soft factors, or are just so not worth the trouble of getting at all. D tier Pokemon aren't necessarily worthless. They might have some niches that they can fulfill if need be. Most of the time, if you're resorting to D tier Pokemon to fill important slots in your team, it's because your run has gone bad and you have no other choice but to use it. And last but certainly least, F tier. This is the bottom of the barrel. The Pokemon that you shouldn't even consider running. The ones where you're going into a route hoping to get a good encounter, only to get one of these F tier troglodytes, and the only reaction you can muster is a Joker laugh. These Pokemon offer nothing for your run. Hell, they might even make your run harder by trying to use them. The only things they can possibly be used for is death fodder or trolling, and that's about it. Alright, those are all of the rules and regulations. I'm sure you're all raring to find out what all my hot takes are gonna be. So without further ado, I'm gonna be passing the torch on over to Live Chev, who's gonna be assembling this list for us. Enjoy. Hey, what's up guys? It's me, ya boy, Chev, here live to do a live tier listing thing. Alright, you've already seen the intro to this video. You already know what the ground rules are. We got the tier list on here. I don't have it in Photoshop. I'm just using Tier Maker because I'm a fucking pleb and I don't know how to use video editors that well. Not video editors, fucking photo editors. What am I talking about? Anyways, so yeah, we're just gonna get right into the tier list. I got my notes up here. This isn't going to be entirely unscripted. I've already kind of written up little bits and pieces about all these Pokemon, so I'm going to be reading them off. One more little bit of ground rules that I just realized that I forgot to include in the voiceover that you just previously listened to is that I'm just going to be tiering like the final evolutions of each Pokemon. So I'm not going to be tier listing like Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur. I'm just going to be tier listing like Venusaur, and then that's going to encompass the whole evolution line. That's what's going to work for all this Pokemon. So we're going to have all these other Pokemon sprites here that we're also not going to be using. Also, this tier list has the Megas in them for some reason. I don't know. Just ignore that. But yeah, let's just get right into it with Pokemon number 1 himself, Venusaur. So Venusaur is a very good Pokemon. I already kind of gave this or my thoughts on Venusaur in episode 1. It's got a very solid stat block for Gen 1. It's got a decent speed tier. I think it's like 80 speed, I think, which is not bad for Gen 1 at least. And it's got high special is its main thing. High special and like some decent bulk. And it also learns a lot of really good utility moves. So it learns like Leech Seed and Sleep Powder, which is a really good combination, which is going to help Venusaur, especially in the late game. Because I feel like in the later game, Venusaur does have Razor Leaf as an option, but as an offensive move option, which is going to get a lot of crits. You're going to get guaranteed crits with that actually, which is really good. But I feel like grass types offensively don't have a lot of things to do in the late game, but because Venusaur has Sleep Powder, Leech Seed, it does give Venusaur a good use in that point of the game anyways. Also, it's undeniable that Venusaur with, Bulbasaur and Ivysaur, incredible early game. The first 3 gym fights are basically a joke. Even Erica is a joke because you have a good defensive option there. So you really don't start struggling until Sabrina, which granted, Venusaur doesn't have a good track record against Sabrina, it being a poison type. So that holds it back. And like one of the main win conditions you need for Gen 1 is you need to be able to clear out the Alakazams, which Venusaur isn't really going to do you much favors for. But I think despite that one kind of weakness, I still think Venusaur is A tier. And actually, it's really, really good that we started with Venusaur, because I think Venusaur is kind of going to be the gatekeeper of S tier. Whether or not a Pokemon is going to end up being S tier or not is going to depend on whether or not I think they are better than Venusaur. So if something wants to get into S tier, it's going to have to get through Venusaur. So next up, we've got, well, my notes say Blastoise, so I'm going to do Blastoise next, even though Charizard is actually listed on here next in the tier list. So Blastoise is a very, very solid Pokemon, basically all around. It's gonna be performing pretty consistently throughout most of the game. It has a little bit of a slump with Lieutenant Surge and Erica being back-to-back gym fights, but honestly, those gym fights are just not really a huge problem. But outside of those two gym fights, Blastoise is just like really, really solid. It doesn't have super strong performances. Like it's not like hard countering a lot of gyms. I mean, it hard counters Brock, it hard counters Blaine, it hard counters Giovanni, but those are not super like particularly tough fights. So it's not really doing you tons of favors there, but it is the best performing starter in the Elite Four, which is huge for it. That's like a really big factor for Blastoise. Its stats aren't ideal for it, but it doesn't really matter that much. I've found every time I've ran Blastoise, I've never really felt like Blastoise has been particularly lacking that much. There are better water types than Blastoise, but just getting a good water type immediately off the bat is really not bad. Like I've never really felt like I've really been lacking because I'm running Blastoise. So for just being really, really solid throughout most of the game, I think Blastoise is going to go in the A tier, right behind Venusaur. The tiers are also, by the way, going to be sorted. So like Blastoise being behind Venusaur, I think that Venusaur is better than Blastoise in the tier. It's going to go left to right. Next up is Charizard, our two-time starter in our current Nuzlocke Gauntlet challenge. I think you all pretty much know how I feel about Charizard at this point. I don't like it. It just doesn't really do much. It's got terrible early game gym matchups. The Brock fight is just unnecessarily complicated with Charizard. And then like you have to have some kind of Misty counter, which granted getting a counter for Misty isn't like super difficult, but you still have to like plan for that. Whereas like if you have like Bulbasaur, it's like an auto win against Misty, and even with like Blastoise, with like a Wartortle, it's like not bad, right? And then even then, like the one gym leader that you're like actually good against is Erica, but Erica is super easy, and even then you're not that good into Erica because all of your Pokemon have high special. So even though you're doing ×2 damage with your fire type moves, like you're not even doing that much damage because that's like their highest defensive stat is their special. You're way better off using like a physical flying type Pokemon against Erica than you are using like Charmeleon. And then like you're stuck with Ember for the longest time, and then when you finally get Flamethrower, you're at a point in the game where fire types just aren't doing anything. And it's got slight niches. The only real niche I've really found is that like Charizard's, I guess, decent in Sabrina. I've never really tested. Maybe it's possible Charizard could actually be an Alakazam counter, but I've just never really tested it for that because I've just never really felt the need, because at least Charizard does learn Slash, and it does have like pretty good physical attacks, so it could potentially be an Alakazam counter. But I've just never tested it for that, and I've never felt the need to because there's just better Pokemon that do that. So, but I guess if you really need it for that, you could use it. I'm gonna put Charizard in the D tier. It just doesn't do much. It's not useless, so it's not going in F tier. As much as I kind of want to put it in F tier, it's going in D tier because it does have some niches, but it's just not good. It's not a very good Pokemon. Okay, next up is Butterfree. Butterfree is pretty good. I think Butterfree, so it has some great utility moves. It learns like Sleep Powder, which is pretty good. So if you don't get Venusaur as your starter, or if you just didn't pick Venusaur as your starter, this is going to be your first Pokemon that you can get that can learn Sleep Powder. It doesn't have super strong stats, so its scaling isn't very good. So once you kind of start hitting the mid game with Butterfree, it's going to start doing less and less and less. But it does, wait, it learns Psybeam, that's right. Forgot about that. Oh, but that's not really going to be enough to keep it going because it doesn't really have super high special and it's not a psychic type. But yeah, it does learn Confusion early game, which is actually pretty big. That's actually more important than it learning Psybeam. But so it's like, it's a Pokemon that will definitely like get you up into the mid game before it really kind of starts to struggle. And if you end up picking Charmander as your starter, it will bail you out of Brock because it learns Confusion, and that will just kind of help you sweep through Brock. So I think Butterfree is like B tier. I think that's a good spot for it. It's good early game. It will get you through the mid game. It won't do much else afterwards. It's going to start struggling after that point. So it's not going to be something that's going to end up like carrying you through the Elite Four, ending up on your Elite Four team. It would. I mean, you could run it on your Elite Four team. It just wouldn't be like that great. There's just better options at that point. So I think B tier is actually pretty fair. All right. Oh boy. All right. First hot take. Beedrill. Beedrill. I see a lot of people rate Beedrill pretty highly. And I think that's mostly in the context of Fire Red and Leaf Green. In Gen 1, I think Beedrill's not that good. It's a level 10 evolution, so it's a early stat boost. So it's gonna have higher stats than most of the other Pokemon that you're gonna be fighting, which I guess is useful. But it doesn't learn a good move until like level 20, which is Twin Needle, and Twin Needle's not even that good of a move. It's like 50 base. I forget the base power of Twin Needle, but it's not even that high. And otherwise, prior to hitting level 20, you're stuck with basically Poison Sting as your main offensive move, and it just doesn't feel very good. And it will. I think Beedrill actually ends up falling off much quicker than Butterfree does too. I think Butterfree, because it at least has utility, it gets you further into the mid game than Beedrill does. The last time I ran Beedrill, I remembered it starting to really struggle in the mid game a lot sooner. I think I'm gonna put Beedrill. I think for now I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I might change my mind later as the list kind of goes on and evolves. I might knock it down to D tier depending on how C tier kind of ends up looking. But for now we're gonna put it in the C tier, just because I mean at least it's a big stat block that you get early in the game, and I guess it's really the only Pokemon that learns like a halfway decent bug type move in like basically the entire game. There's like no other good bug type moves, and I'm pretty sure Beedrill's the only one that learns like Twin Needle. Okay, next up we've got Pidgeot. Honestly, Pidgeot's not very good. It's a Pokemon you can pretty much get every single run. It's consistent in that regard. So you, like in terms of availability, like there's no problem getting Pidgeot. Its stats are very well balanced across the board. So it doesn't have a bad stat, but it also doesn't really have a good stat either. It's kind of like a jack of all trades in that regard. Its move pool is pretty bad. I have it in my notes. The only offensive flying move that it learns is Wing Attack, and it learns at a late level, and it doesn't learn any good flying TMs. So the only thing that you're really going to be hitting with other Pokemon with is like Wing Attack or using like the Fly HM on it, which is just kind of painful. And also keep in mind, Gust, for some fucking reason, is not a flying type move in Gen 1. It's a normal type move. I don't know why. That's a really stupid decision. Yeah, I think Pidgeot, it's better than Beedrill. So I'm going to put it above Beedrill in the C tier. It's just a very it's like the definition of a mid Pokemon. I would almost be tempted to put it into D tier because of its terrible move pool, but it at least has halfway decent enough stats. I know some people are gonna say like, oh, in Fire Red Leaf Green, it gets Feather Dance, which makes it way better, and it also has a better move pool. We're not talking about Fire Red Leaf Green. We're talking about Red and Blue. So, we can it. We're not doing that. Next up, we've got Raticate. This is a Pokemon that, if you would ask me a few years ago what I thought about it in Gen 1, I would have told you it's bad. I don't think that anymore. I actually think Raticate is pretty decent after having used it a few times now. It's a lot better into the early and mid game than I was initially giving it credit for, and Hyper Fang really does a lot of work, and it can also learn like all the normal types, at least all the pure normal types in Gen 1 have just this huge pool of moves that they can learn by TM. Like we're like with Spit Rat, you know, Spit Rat we taught Water Gun, and it gave it like this weird niche against all like the early Geodudes and stuff. There's a lot of weird things you can do with Raticate. You don't just have to build it as a full-blown normal stab offensive Pokemon, but it does fall off. It doesn't have the stats to carry you past the mid game. Once you get like past Koga's gym, or around like Sabrina's gym, Raticate does start to suffer, mostly because at that point you have Snorlax available to you, and once you get Snorlax, Raticate pretty much becomes obsolete. It's like there's really no reason to run Raticate after that point because you just have a way better normal type. So it does get outclassed in the late game pretty hard, but it will get you to that point. Once you it'll get you to Snorlax, and it will do a lot of work up to that point. So I'm gonna put it in B tier above Butterfree. I think that's a pretty good spot for it. All right, next up we've got Fearow. Hell yeah. Oh, I think you already know where I'm putting this guy. It's fast, it hits hard, you get it really early in the game. It actually learns a good flying type move in Drill Peck, and it can potentially sweep big fights like Sabrina, which genuinely, prior to the first run that we did in this challenge, I've never thought that it was possible for Fearow to pull off a sweep on Sabrina, but it did. And it can also take out Blue's Alakazam in a few of the fights too. So I think, and also it just like decimates all of the, like a lot of, pretty much anytime you put it up against anything that's neutral, that takes neutral or super effective damage from it, like Drill Peck will probably one-shot most things. It's just like, it's really good. It's a lot better than I used to think it was. I used to always like Fearow. Fearow was always kind of the flying type that I preferred, but I think it's actually like really, really good. It does fall off at the very end of the game. Like I've never felt the need to bring my Fearow with me for the Elite Four and Champ run. Up until that point, it does just such a ridiculous amount of work. I think it's an A tier, above. I'm gonna say above Blastoise. Actually, that might be a little bit of a hot take. I might readjust later depending on how I'm kind of feeling, kind of where we're at. But I think Fearow A tier above Blastoise. For now is a pretty good spot. Next up, we've got Arbok. Arbok does not have a lot going for it in this generation, unfortunately. There's so many poison types in Gen 1. And some of these poison types, by the way, are very good. They're really, really strong. And Arbok just doesn't really have much that it can do that sets it apart from these other poison types. It's pretty frail, so it's not super good defensively, and it doesn't really learn a lot of good moves either. Really the main thing Arbok has going for it is that it's a decently fast Wrap user. So it does have a niche that it can use, and it's not bad at it. And Wrap is just like really strong. So that's really gonna weight a lot of the Wrap is gonna save so many Pokemon on this tier list, but a lot of Pokemon that would be like this is garbage, but it's actually not because it's got Wrap. So I think a Wrap spamming Arbok is actually like okay, but it's not like the fastest thing ever, so it's not even like the best Wrap user. I think Arbok C tier above Beedrill for now. I don't know. I might switch that later. We'll see. We'll see how I'm kind of feeling. All right, next up, we've got Raichu. So Raichu is a pretty decent Pokemon, but you're more than likely not going to get it because I think the only place you can get Pikachu is Viridian Forest, and it's a 5% encounter. So it's unlikely you're going to get Raichu. But if you do get Raichu, it's actually like a pretty solid electric type Pokemon. It's got a rough moveset in red and blue. It doesn't really learn a lot of moves, so you're gonna have to invest the Thunderbolt TM into it that you get from Lieutenant Surge in order for it to really start to come online. And it does get outclassed by other electric type Pokemon too. There's better electric type Pokemon than Raichu, but I mean, if you get it, like you can run it to the end of the game and it will do just fine. Like it'll be pretty consistent. And once you do teach it Thunderbolt, it is pretty good. So I'm gonna put it at the top of B tier right now, because I think that's just like a solid place for it. It's not the best electric type, but it's a solid one. And if you just happen to get it in Viridian Forest, I think it'll do you well. I think it'll get you to the end of the game. So that's pretty good. Next up is Sandslash. Sandslash is surprisingly good in this game. It's the earliest Slash user in the game, I believe. Yeah, because you get Sandshrew right before Cerulean City, and I don't think there's any other Pokemon prior to that can learn Slash within the level cap. So that's like a really interesting power spike to have that early in the game on your Sandshrew. But it's not the most effective user of Slash because it doesn't hit the speed tier required to have 99% crit chance. But it still is going to be critting pretty often with Slash. So it is going to be like a decently consistent damage boost for that point in the game. It does require some TM investment because its move pool outside of it learning Slash is kind of rough. It's really bad. It doesn't learn any ground type moves by level up. So if you wanted to have a stab ground type move, you're gonna have to teach it like Dig, which it does use Dig very well in the mid game, and it will get you through some good fights in the mid game. If you want to take it to the late game, you're probably gonna have to give it your Earthquake TM. You could potentially run this thing into the late game. It's not terrible, but if you're running it in the late game, it's probably because you've exhausted some of your other options, or you're just really unlucky with your encounters. Like there's just Pokemon that would be way better options to run than Sandslash. There's like poison and ground types are like two types in this generation where there's a ton of competition, and being just like pretty good just doesn't really cut it a lot of the time. But Sandslash does have the nice little unique niche of being the earliest Slash user, which I think is pretty good. I'm gonna put it in B tier. Is it better than Butterfree? No, it's not better than Butterfree. I think Butterfree's utility makes it more useful than Sandslash, but I think Sandslash does earn itself into the B tier, but just barely. That I might change that one too. It could be like top of C tier later, but we're still kind of early in the list. Ho ho ho! All right, we're into the big boys. Hoo hoo hoo! Nidoking and Nidoqueen. We're just gonna do both of them at the same time because they're both pretty much the same Pokemon. These are the big dogs, or should I say like big rabbits, because I think they're supposed to be rabbits. Super early evolutions before the second gym having a fully evolved Pokemon is insane, and their stats are crazy. Not like, okay, they're not like crazy. There's Pokemon that's got better stats than them. But for that point in the game, you're not going to get a higher stat Pokemon than Nidoking or Nidoqueen. And it's not even close. They just blow through the early game because of that. They have an insane move pool of moves that they can learn by TMs. You can build them a lot of different ways to give them tons of different coverage. They can cheese the Elite Four, specifically Lance, and whatever other fights you can dream up with by taking advantage of the fact that, you know, if any of the Elite Four Pokemon have agility, Nidoking and Nidoqueen can just cheese them, and they're so good. They are so good. These are easy S tiers. I think they both belong in S tier. I think Nidoking is a little bit better than Nidoqueen because it's a bit more min-maxed on its offensive stats, which I think is more important in Gen 1. But they are very close to each other. So those are our first S tier entries. Next one, Clefable. I don't think I've ever actually ran a Clefable in Gen 1 before, but just kind of looking at it and looking at what it can do, like it doesn't seem bad. But in the context of Gen 1, the main issue is that you get one moonstone in the early game, and you don't get another one until later on. And so Clefable is competing for that moonstone with 2 S tier Pokemon. Well, I guess technically 1, depending on your version of the game. You're probably not going to be getting both Nidoking and Nidoqueen in the other game. That's like super unlikely. But it's competing with a way better Pokemon. And Clefable's stats just aren't quite what Nidoking and Nidoqueens are. They're just not as good. On the plus side, okay, let's go over some plus sides with Clefable. Taking in a vacuum, it's got good stats for the point that you're going to evolve it at. It's still going to be like pretty good. It's just not going to be as good as Nidoking and Nidoqueen. And it can learn a lot of TMs, which again makes it endlessly customizable. So there's a lot of things you can do with Clefable, but it's really hard to justify one. Like, I guess if you just didn't end up getting a Nidoran in the early game, and you ended up just getting Clefairy as your encounter, I guess it's not bad. It's pretty good. Its stats do leave a little bit to be desired, I guess. It's kind of slow. I think, man, I'm struggling here. So are they gonna be high C tier or low B tier? I think it's like low B tier. I think it's like above Sandslash. I think that's pretty fair to put Clefable there. I think C tier might be a little rough on it. We're gonna put Clefable there. I think because it's just really versatile, and it's probably the second best Moonstone user. Outside of like the Nidoking and Nidoqueen. It's like a good backup option if you really need it. So I think low B tier is fine. Next up we have Ninetales. Ninetales might unironically be the best fire type in the game. It's got an okay move pool. It can actually learn Flamethrower at like a decent level, so you can have it for the mid game. Plus it learns Confuse Ray, which is nice. So it has like utility as well. But again, like being the best fire type in the game doesn't really say much, because fire types are just kind of bad in this game. They just don't have a lot to do, unfortunately. I think I'm gonna put Ninetales in the C tier. I think it's better than it's definitely better than Pidgeot. Yeah, I think Ninetales is like high C tier. You know, it's usable. It is the most usable fire type in the game, I think. But and you get it at a reasonable point too. You get it like right before Celadon City. So that's not a bad place to get it. You can evolve it right away. You don't learn Flamethrower, or you learn Flamethrower pretty quickly after you catch it. It's not bad. I think high C tier is a fine place for Ninetales. If you really want to run a fire type on your team, Ninetales is probably the best you're gonna get. Next up, Wigglytuff. Who the fuck uses this thing? Why would you ever use your Moonstone on Wigglytuff? I think, yeah, this is the worst use of your Moonstone possible. This is like a total waste. The only thing it has is, I think, high HP. The rest of its stats are garbage. It can learn a lot of TMs, but like, who cares? It doesn't matter, because you don't have the stats to back up your move pool at all. Man, if you're using your Moonstone on Wigglytuff, you're in a rough spot. I think you're just getting the D tier. Like, I guess it's like, it's if you really need it, if you really fucking need something, and you got really unlucky for your encounters in the early game, you just really need something to tank Misty, I guess Wigglytuff could do that. I guess. But otherwise, garbage. Okay, next up we've got Golbat. It's okay stats, but man, that move pool's rough. It doesn't really have a lot of moves. It's got one niche. Okay, this thing absolutely fucking dunks on Erica. You know, there's like nothing Erica can do against Golbat. And I guess theoretically Golbat would actually be pretty decent into the fighting dojo, although the fighting dojo you don't even like need. You can just skip that fight entirely, so it's not even required. So it's got a couple of niches. You're absolutely not taking this thing into the late game. It's just not going to be doing anything there. And it only really has an okay stat block. I guess Is this thing's D? I think this thing is D tier, but I think it's higher than Charizard. I think it's actually better than Charizard. It has a way more well-defined niche than Charizard has. Charizard just doesn't do anything. Where meanwhile, Golbat, it's like, okay, there's actually some things we can point to and be like, okay, it's actually like pretty good here. So I think I'm gonna put Golbat in D tier above Charizard. Next up we got Vileplume. It's a pretty decent as like a grass type, but the main issue with Vileplume is that it's slow. This thing is really slow. It's got like good utility moves. I don't think this thing learns Leech Seed though, which is unfortunate for it, because that's like the best grass type move in the game is Leech Seed, and it doesn't learn it. And it also, its offensive moves leave a little bit to be desired. It learns Petal Dance, but Petal Dance isn't as good as Razor Leaf. Razor Leaf is just infinitely like a better offensive move than Petal Dance, because Razor Leaf you get like the guaranteed crits. But it's like, it's good. I think it's B tier. It's better than Sandslash. It's better than Clefable. It's definitely better than Butterfree. I think it's better than Raticate. I think Vileplume is actually usable in the late game. I think it's like on par with Raichu, but I think Raichu is better because Raichu's faster and it does more damage. Vileplume I think is still good because of its utility, but I don't think the utility quite puts it above Raichu. I think Raichu, by virtue of just doing more damage, just ends up being better than Vileplume in the end, because pretty much all Vileplume does have is utility. Its damage is a little disappointing, so I think that's going to keep it at that point in B tier. But that's still pretty good placement. That's not bad placement at all. Parasect. I used to fucking hate this thing, and now I'm not so sure. I don't think this Pokemon is as bad as I was initially giving it credit for, especially after actually getting a Parasect as my Moon Cave encounter, or Mount Moon encounter, not Moon Cave. What am I talking about? It can be a last-ditch Misty counter if you get it in Mount Moon, which is pretty good. It can learn Spore. That's like the best utility move, or like one of the best utility moves in the game. It's a 100% well, I guess technically 99% accuracy sleep move. But the problem is that it's slow and it's not particularly bulky, and Bug and Grass type is really bad defensive typing. So the fact that it's slow and has bad typing and doesn't have great defensive stats means that it's really, really vulnerable. I think it's a C tier Pokemon. I think is it better than Pidgeot? I think it is better than Pidgeot, because it's actually got a decent like offensive stat, like physically offensive stat, and it can learn Dig, so it can actually counter Lieutenant Surge. That's actually not bad. Yeah, I think C tier is fine. I don't think it's as good as Ninetales. I think Ninetales is better than Parasect, but I think Parasect is definitely it's definitely usable in that regard. All right, next up we've got Venomoth. Venomoth is kind of a weird Pokemon to judge in Gen 1. It's kind of like a slightly better Butterfree. It can learn some pretty good moves like Psychic and Sleep Powder by level up, but that's actually kind of in the later levels, so it does take a little bit to get to the point where kind of Venomoth is at max power, and by that point Venomoth kind of feels like it's going to be falling off a little bit. Its stats are okay, but it's pretty frail. That might have been a little bit of a Freudian slip, I don't know, but it doesn't have any same type attack bonus for Psychic, so the damage isn't really like incredible, but I mean, Psychic is pretty good coverage to have on it though, and it might require some TM investment to supplement it until it gets like its better moves. I think it's definitely it doesn't. Okay, I think it's honestly it's like kind of on par with Butterfree, just like slightly better, because of it just learns better offensive moves. It eventually learns Psychic. It's just like a slight, like almost, I guess if you like want the experience of having Butterfree into the late game, you would just like ditch your Butterfree and catch a Venomoth. That's kind of what you would do. So it's like just ever so slightly better, but they're basically on par with each other overall, because Butterfree is just very useful early game, whereas at the point in the game, honestly, hold on, that's probably more like it. And here's the reason why for this. Butterfree is very clearly more useful at a specific point in the game. Venomoth the point that you get Venomoth at, it's not going to be as good as Butterfree was at the point of the game that you can get Butterfree. But they're generally kind of on par with each other, though. Like, Venomoth just kind of takes the torch from Butterfree, but Butterfree just is more useful at the point that you get Butterfree than you get Venomoth. If that makes sense. I don't know. Okay. Next up is Dugtrio. This is another weird one to judge because you're never actually really using Dugtrio. You're using Diglett to beat Surge, and then you're more than likely boxing it. And the reason why it's because Dugtrio, it's fast and it hits hard, but this thing cannot take a hit to save its life. You're never going to be able to safely switch this thing in unless if you know for sure that you're not going to be taking like a super hard hit. It's very hard to use. You really have to be careful with its really frail defenses, because you're just never gonna be able to switch this thing into like most things. It's a good lead Pokemon. It can, if the enemy doesn't have anything that can stop it, it can sweep through a lot of teams. But it's very niche in that regard, and the main purpose of it is you beat Surge and then you box it. That's its purpose. I think it's C tier. I think it's like right there. No, I think it's better than Parasect. I don't think it's better than Ninetales though. I think that's fair. That's a good spot for it. Next up is Persian. Speaking of Pokemon that are hard to judge, Persian's really fast. It's not like super fast, but I think it's the fastest normal type in the game, or at least like pure normal type. No, okay, here's what it is. It's the fastest Pokemon in the normal type Pokemon that can use Slash. So it does a lot of damage because of that, because it has guaranteed crits, and it's the hardest hitting Slash user. There's a couple problems with it though. Number one, it doesn't learn Slash until level 51. So you're only really going to be utilizing Slash strats in the Elite Four. Now, how does Persian do up until that point? It's very mediocre. It just doesn't really do much. I've tried to use Persian in the past. What I found is that it's very hard to use. It's not that good. And it does have the niche at the very end of the game of being able to sweep through a lot of the Elite Four with just Slash, which is useful. But man, getting it to that point, that's rough. That's not easy. I'm gonna put it in like top of C tier. No, actually not top of C tier. I actually think Ninetales is still better than it. I think Ninetales is kind of becoming like the C tier gate, or the B tier gatekeeper at this point. I think Persian is right here. It has a definable niche at the end of the game that's really good, but up until then it's kind of painful to use. So I think C tier right about there is pretty, I think that's a fair rating for it. Next up we've got Golduck. Golduck's got decent stats, but it doesn't learn a lot of moves on its own. It really needs TMs or like the Search HM to kind of function. It's really hard to justify picking it when there's so many other good water types. It's not a bad water type, but why you would pick Golduck over any of the other Pokemon that we got coming up later, I really don't know. I think I'm gonna put Golduck in the C tier. I think it's better than Dugtrio. I don't think it's bad. Well, I think it's better than Persian, because I think Golduck is at least more solid through. It might actually be better than Ninetales, but I don't know if it's B tier. I think that's fair for right now. I think Golduck and right there, I might swap them later. I'll think about it more. Golduck does learn ice type moves, I guess. Actually, yeah, that makes it better than Ninetales. I just thought about it for like a second. I'm like, wait, you can teach it Ice Beam, and that's actually pretty important. So if you really need a water type, but then again, if you're using Golduck as like your main water type at the end of the game, you've probably suffered some kind of disaster, and you're really kind of limping along there. All right, Primeape. Primeape is the fastest fighting type in the game, so it's going to be the fighting type that is most likely to crit. What does that mean for fighting types? You're gonna be spamming Karate, but unfortunately, Karate Chop is the move that you're gonna be spamming. Unfortunately, Karate Chop is not a fighting type move. It's a normal type move that has high crit chance. And Gen 1 is so starved for fighting type moves. It's ridiculous. The only fighting type move that you learn on Primeape is Submission and by TM. And Submission isn't even like that good of a move. It's like an 80 base, yeah, it's 80 base power, 80 accuracy. That's pretty abysmal for a fighting type move. You know, it only 80 base power and it misses 1/5 of the time. It's also very frail. You can't really switch it into a lot of things. I think Primeape is like a worse version of Dugtrio. I think it's actually worse than Primeape, or worse than, not Primeape, what the fuck, Parasect. I think it's worse than Pidgeot. I think it's better than Arbok. No, actually, I think it's actually worse than Arbok. It's better than Beedrill. I think Arbok at least has the niche of Wrap. I don't really know what Primeape does, other than being fast. That's pretty much all it does. So yeah, I think right there for C tier is fine for Primeape. Arcanine. Ooh, this one's gonna piss some people off. Arcanine's got pretty good stats. Two main problems with it, though. Number one, its move pool fucking sucks. You don't get any good fire type moves until like the very end of the game. Yeah, it doesn't learn flamethrower until level 50, which is fucking acceptable. Okay, that's just like ridiculous. Because at that point in the game, what is flamethrower even doing for you? Like, you need to be learning this move way earlier. And fire types are just bad. It's D tier. I think it's, at least because it's got decent stats, it's better than Wigglytuff, but it's worse than Charizard, easily. It's just not that good. Now we've got Poliwrath. Where are you? There you are. Found Poliwrath. Poliwrath is a decent move pool by level up in TMs, and it's our first user of the move Amnesia, which Amnesia is fucking broken in this game. It raises your special by 2 stages, and because your special is essentially your offensive and defensive stat, you're essentially going +4 on a single move, right? Which is pretty insane. It's a fantastic setup move to have on Poliwrath, and its special stat is low, so like it does definitely need Amnesia to really kind of function. Fighting type is it's also a part fighting type, which isn't really all that useful, honestly, because it doesn't learn any moves. It doesn't learn any fighting type moves. Like, what is the fighting type really doing for it? If anything, it's actually kind of a hindrance, because you're not getting any good moves to go with the fighting type, and on top of that, now you have a psychic type weakness. Both these things are doing nothing for Poliwrath. It also has a flying type, but yeah, and if anything, it's actually, I think it just makes Poliwrath worse. But having Amnesia is always really good. I think Poliwrath is like top of B tier. Could potentially bump up to A tier because it does have Amnesia. I'll think about that. I might promote Poliwrath to A tier later, but for now I think we're keeping him B tier. Uh-oh, where are they? Where are these guys? Ah, there they are. Alakazam and Kadabra. Okay, let's talk about Kadabra and Alakazam. Absolute fucking powerhouses. Super fast, hits super hard. Special being a combined stat means that it also has a little bit of bulk in the special category. Really, the only weakness these things have is the fact that their physical attack and HP are pretty paper thin, but it doesn't really matter because you just kind of sweep through everything. And also, these things have like no type weaknesses. The only type weakness you have is bug type, but you are never encountering any bug type moves throughout the game. There's like no good bug type moves, and you never fight them, or you never fight a Pokemon that has good bug type moves. Yeah, like these things will just sweep through so much of the game. They dominate the Elite Four, and they're actually fairly accessible because what you can do, even if you don't get it in the route north of Cerulean City, you can actually just go to the casino and buy enough coins to be able to get an Abra. It's really not that hard to get. You will have to give up your Eevee for it, which kind of sucks, but that's actually not like the worst thing in the world to get an Alakazam because it's just that good. So I think for that, we're gonna tier Kadabra first. I think Kadabra is an A tier Pokemon I'm gonna put it right there. No, it's gonna go right there. I think Kadabra is like an A tier Pokemon. It's super, super good. It's very frail, so you have to be careful with it. But Alakazam, S tier, baby. S tier. Ooh, we got an S tier. It's definitely above Nidoking and Nidoqueen. I feel like Alakazam would almost be like in a double S tier if we had a double S tier. But yeah, no, for now, we're gonna put Alakazam there. It's the king of Gen 1. It's so fucking good. If you get one, your run is basically almost all but assured. All right, now time for another trade evolution Pokemon. Machoke and Machamp. So they have a huge attack stat. Like, I think one of the highest attack stats in the game. But the problem is, they're fighting type Pokemon. So there's no good fighting type moves. You can teach them submission, but again, submission kind of fucking sucks. You can teach them other physical moves by TM, so there are ways to still utilize their attack stat. But like, there's just not like a whole lot for them to do. And fighting types just don't really get a ton of great matchups throughout the game. There's not a ton of points in the game where you're really feeling like you really need a fighting type to get you through like any like the key fights in the game. I think Machoke, honestly, Machoke kind of sucks. Machoke is like D tier. I think it's like right there, but it's defensive. Like, Machoke is so surprisingly frail. It pretty much just hits hard, and that's all it does. I think Machamp is at least like B tier. I think it's better than Sandslash. I think it's better than Clefable. I think it's like right somewhere around here. It's somewhere in this vicinity. It's like mid B tier. I think it's like right there. It's like like you can use it. It's pretty good if you teach it some TMs, but it's really like its full potential is really gated by the fact that it's a fighting type that just doesn't learn any good fighting type moves. But its attack stats pretty unignorable. Like, you kind of have to put some respect on Machamp's physical attack stat. So next up, we've got Victory Bell. Victory Bell is not a trait evolution, so we don't have to worry about that this time. It's a very excellent Pokemon, though. It's decently fast. It learns utility moves. I don't think it learns Leech Seed, which kind of sucks. But it does learn Sleep Powder. So it's got that. You can also teach it Toxic if you want to be a Toxic setup instead of a Sleep Pokemon. It also learns Razor Leaf, which it will crit with that all the time, which means you're just going to be like tearing through water type Pokemon with that. It also can learn Swords Dance and Wrap. That's a very funny combo. It's also, with it being as fast as it is, it's going to outspeed a lot of things and just kind of wrap spam them down, which is very, very funny. I think Victory Bell is a decent A tier. I think it's like right there, right there, right there. I think kind of bottom A tier. I think it's a pretty good spot for Victory Bell right now. I think Blastoise is just a little bit better. I know there's gonna be some people are gonna be like, why is Fearow this high up? I'm telling you, man, I think Fearow is a way better Pokemon than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for. If you want to find out why, you can go back and watch my Nuzlocke Gauntlet series to see exactly just how good Fearow can be. Ooh, next up, we've got Tentacruel. Tentacruel's actually a really, really good Pokemon. It's bulky, it's pretty fast, it's got decent offensive moves, it's got a great move pool with TMs. You can teach it a lot of different moves. Not a whole lot going on with its poison typing, but poison typing is generally like a good complementary defensive type with water. Having a psychic weakness kind of sucks in Gen 1, but other than that, Tentacruel is just like, it's also really, really common. It's so easy to get a Tentacruel, and for how good it is, it's kind of hard to not put fucking respect on Tentacruel. I think it's an A tier Pokemon in Gen 1 for sure. I think is it better than Blastoise? Actually, I think it is better than Blastoise. I think Tentacruel has a better stat distribution than Blastoise does. Is that a hot take? Is this a hot take? No, it's not. It's not. Actually, I think Tentacruel is a better Pokemon than Blastoise. I think it's a better Pokemon than... Oh, hold on. I gotta reassess something. Yes. No, I would... Actually, it is better than Victreebel. I think I would put it in A tier. Is it? It's better than Fearow. Is it better than Kadabra? No, it's not better than Kadabra. I think this is good. I think that's a good spot for it. I think I'm not touching it anymore. Next up, we've got Graveler and Golem. This is another trait evolution. So these are an absolute beast of defensive walls right here. They are slow and vulnerable to special moves, and they are quad weak to both grass and water, which you are going to be encountering a lot of grass and water types. So they're not going to be Pokemon that you're going to just throw out into every single fight, but they dominate physical matchups. They learn Earthquake by level up, which is a huge plus for that because you don't have to burn your Earthquake TM on them. You can save it for something else. But yeah, with all the normal type moves and all the normal type Pokemon that you fight in Gen 1, these Pokemon are just so good at just walling everything. And honestly, the stat jump between Graveler and Golem isn't even that much. I mean, it's enough that you still want to do the trade. Like, I would still recommend evolving Graveler into Golem, obviously. But Graveler is still actually pretty usable. Like the stat increase isn't like so much that like it's not like with Machoke and Machamp where it makes a difference between being D tier and B tier. Like I think Graveler is like right here, and then Golem is A tier. I think Golem is like right around there for A tier. I'm like not even joking. Like Golem's really, really good. Next up, we got Rapidash, more like Rapid Ass. Okay, let's get all right. Let's be a little serious here. Rapidash is mostly kind of bad. It's the fastest fire type Pokemon in the game. It's got a good speed tier. Oh, and it learns Fire Spin, and Fire Spin works like Rap. That's actually that's an okay niche. We might have another C tier fire type Pokemon. Hold on. That's not bad. That's actually not bad. I think it's better than Beedrill. I think that's better than Primeape. I think it's definitely more useful than Arbok. Is it more useful than Pidgeot? No. I think that's a good spot for Rapidash. It might be cheesier than I'm giving it credit for. Like maybe that could be a Pokemon that would, if I actually really tested it. But like, man, I just don't like Rapidash. This is my bias coming into play. I will admit part of this list is a little bit vibes based. Like I'm sure if you really kind of tested Rapidash, it might be a lot better than I'm giving it credit for. But I'm putting it in C tier because this is my fucking list. I can do whatever I want. Oh, we got Slowbro. Ooh, we got another big boy alert. Ooh, Water and Psychic, goated combo in this generation. It's super bulky. It can learn a lot of really good moves. And on top of that, he's got amnesia. Oh, he's got amnesia. So he can just buff his stats like crazy. His power ceiling is like almost limitless with badge boost too, which I don't really know how much I want to put the badge boost glitch into consideration when tiering these Pokemon, because it is technically a glitch, but you can use it. You can use that, and I mean, we're not going to worry about the badge boost. We're just going to talk about just using amnesia on Slowbro, and that already just makes it super, super good. Makes it like an unstoppable killing machine. It's S tier. Slowbro is absolutely S tier. Really, the only thing holding it back is that it's slow. But like with how fucking beefy you can make this thing, it almost doesn't even matter that it's slow. It's just kind of an unkillable wall that can just dish out a ton of damage. It's kind of crazy, actually. Next up, we've got Magneton. This is a little weird one. A little bit of a weird one to tier, because normally your knee-jerk reaction to Magneton for Nuzlocke is that Magneton's goated, but it's not really the case in Gen 1 because steel types aren't a thing yet. The main thing that kind of makes Magneton super good in other games is that it's a steel type, but it doesn't have that. It's just like a pure electric type, so it's not really as good in this game. It's not super bulky like in later generations, because it's really relying on its steel typing in later generations to have any kind of defensive, like anything. So it's got a low HP stat, which kind of holds it back, but it's actually got a good special stat, and its speed is not bad. So as far as electric types go, I think it's worse than Raichu. It's definitely worse than Graveler. I think it's around here. I think it's better than Machamp. No, it's not. I don't think it's. It's better than Raticate. No, I don't actually think it's better than Raticate. I think this is a good spot for Magneton. That's a pretty fine spot for it. It's a serviceable electric type. It's not as good as Raichu, but it's still good. It gets a huge glow up in later generations, though. I mean, I don't need to tell you that much. Oh boy, Farfetch'd. Okay, so here's the problem with Farfetch'd. You have to give up a Spearow to get Farfetch'd. That's the only way you can get it. So you have to take a good Pokemon, an A-tier Pokemon, a Pokemon that is above all these other Pokemon, and you have to give that up to get your Farfetch'd. What do you get for that? A Pokemon that's worse pretty much across the board in every single possible way, except for one thing. There's one thing that Farfetch'd has that Fearow doesn't, and that's Swords Dance, which technically does give Farfetch'd a bit of a higher power ceiling than Fearow because of badge boost. But why, like, keep in mind, in order to get Farfetch'd even anywhere near Fearow's power, you have to take like 2 turns to take. You probably need like 2 Swords Dance boosts for it to become stronger than Fearow. But then you have to take 2 turns out of each fight to make your Farfetch'd good. Whereas Fearow is just good. I'm gonna put you in D tier. Okay, I'll be fair. I'm gonna put you at like the top of D tier because you do have Swords Dance, and that's very funny. But I really just don't, unless if you're just trolling, I don't know why you would pick Farfetch'd over Fearow. Okay, all right. Everyone calm down. We've got another big boy. It's Dodrio. All right, I got a hot take. I got a real hot take for y'all. I don't think you're ready for it. Dodrio is A tier, but it's behind Fearow. Now let me explain. This is gonna take a little bit of explaining. So by all accounts, Dodrio, on paper, on its hard factors, is a better Pokemon than Fearow. Dodrio has higher attack and higher speed than Fearow at the expense of having lower defenses. But so it's more min-maxed than Fearow is. So you would think that this would make Dodrio a better Pokemon. Also, Dodrio learns interesting moves like Tri-Attack. But here's the thing. Here's my theory about why I think Fearow is a better Pokemon than Dodrio. You get Fearow a lot earlier than you get a Doduo. You're going to be using your Spearow/Fearow in a lot of fights leading up through into the mid game. So you're going to be accruing a lot of stat experience. By the time you get to the point where you can catch a Doduo, your Fearow is probably going to be stronger than a Dodrio. And it's going to take, unless if you're willing to grind out on wild Pokemon, by the time you hit the Elite Four, your Fearow is probably still going to be stronger than a Dodrio at that point. I'm like not even joking, like that's the theory. I think Fearow, given that you get it earlier, the way stat EXP works, I think Fearow actually ends up being stronger than Dodrio by the end of the game, unless if you're willing to stop and grind it out on wild Pokemon. And I'm not doing that. I'm rare candy pilled. So for all intents and purposes, for my runs, Fearow is actually better than Dodrio. But Dodrio is still very good. Like, if I was in a situation where my Fearow died in a fight, and I wanted a normal flying type Pokemon to replace it, I mean, Dodrio would be more than a fine replacement, and it would pretty much do the same job, be pretty much on par. But I think my hot take here is that Fearow is actually just slightly better than Dodrio. So you can crucify me for that one in the comments. I'm more than ready to take it. I'm ready for my takes to get skewered here. All right, next up we've got Dugong. Dugong's pretty solid. It's water ice type, which is really good. Same type attack bonus combo in Gen 1. Ice type this is probably the best that ice typing has ever been in the entire franchise. So being an ice type Pokemon is just already kind of a plus. It's got a decent stat block. It's unfortunately a little I wouldn't even say a little. It's definitely a lot outperformed by another Pokemon in the game. So I don't think I can put it into the A tier, but I can put it into the B tier. I think top of B tier is a good spot for Dugong. It's definitely, it's a very good Pokemon. It can go there. All right, next up we've got Muck. Everyone loves Muck. It's Muck Monday, folks. So Muck really wants to be like a bulky physical attacker, but it doesn't really have any of the tools that it needs to succeed at that. It learns Sludge, which is you know, that's a move. Wow, that's great, Muck. You Sludge. Really the only option that you have with Muck is if you sell your soul and just spam minimize strats to abuse badge boost. That's pretty cheesy, and I mean that would probably get you through a lot of fights, but I would like to maintain my dignity throughout most of these runs, so I don't think I would ever see myself doing that. So we're gonna put Muck into the C tier. Oh, where am I gonna put Muck? Muck. I think it's probably better than Arbok. No, it's not. I think it's going right there. Muck's gonna go right there. All right, next up we've got Cloyster. As I like to lovingly refer to Cloyster, the Clunge. We all love the Clunge. We're all clunging out here. It's vaguely vaginal Pokemon. Also, I really like Cloyster. As just a personal aside, it is actually one of my favorite Gen 1 Pokemon. It's got a good stab combo of water and ice, but unfortunately the stats for it and the move pool are not the greatest. It doesn't really do a whole lot for it. It does learn Explosion, which is kind of funny. It's not as good as Dugong. It has high physical, so it's a bit of a physical wall. It's almost kind of comparable to Graveler in a way. It might actually be better than Graveler because it's got a better stab combo. Might be better than Vileplume. No, it's not better. Yeah, okay. You know what? I think that's good. That's a good spot for the Clunge right there. I think that's perfectly fine. Ooh, okay, we got another trade evolution. We've got Haunter and we've got Gengar. So, man, these are another set of Pokemon that are kind of hard to rate in Gen 1 because they're the only Ghost type Pokemon in the game. And really the main thing that Ghosts have going for them is being immune to normal type moves, which is a useful niche in Gen 1 because there's so many normal type moves in the game. It's got really good offensive stats and it can learn a ton of good TMs. But kind of one of the issues is that Gengar and Haunter are both just kind of wanting to be pseudo-psychic types. And you want to know who does a better job at being a psychic type than Gengar or Haunter? Pretty much all the other psychic types. It's a fast hypnosis user, which is good, but it's not as reliable as like a sleep powder user. Sleep powder has a higher accuracy than hypnosis. But it being very fast with it is kind of important. And there's really no good ghost moves in Gen 1 either. There's no like Shadow Ball or anything. I think your best move is like Lick or like Nightshade. I think, so Haunter is like C tier. It does do a lot of damage and it's pretty fast. I think Haunter is like around, I think Haunter might be top of C tier and Gengar might be top of B tier, I think. I don't think Gengar is A tier just because it doesn't have a lot of tools to take advantage of its typing to really kind of put out great damage output, unfortunately. But if you do need like a clutch psychic, like if you do need something to hit like a psychic pretty fast, even though it's not gonna be the same type of attack bonus, it's still gonna be a decent psychic type. Like it's gonna be a decently hard hitting psychic. Sorry. Oh my god. This is so much more draining than I thought it would be. Okay, Onix. So Onix is I think really the only thing that Onix is good for is walling normal bug or flying types, and then it's like a decently fast wrap user. I wouldn't even dare trying to take this thing past the mid game, like taking it into the late game. I can't even imagine where Onix would even be useful. Again, really all it has is that it's got high physical defense, which can be useful, and it learns wrap. In my notes, I have this as D tier. I don't think this thing's actually D tier. Looking at all the other D tier Pokemon, I think Onix is at least
got some uses. I think it's like bottom of C. I don't think this is a D tier Pokemon. I think it's like at least bottom of C, but it's not. We're talking like we're borderline here. We're definitely borderline of D tier on that one. But Onix, I think, at least has enough uses to it that you could be pretty useful in certain situations if you really need it to be. All right, next up we've got Hypno, another psychic type. Psychic types are just really strong in this game. It's not as good as some of the other psychic types, but it's still pretty solid. It does get a stat boosting move in the very end game to abuse badge boost with, and also just being able to boost his own stats isn't, it's not bad. The main thing holding it back, it's kind of slow. It's not super fast. You kind of want your psychic types to be pretty fast, but it's a fucking psychic type in Gen 1. You can't hate it too much. I think it's, where do I want to put it? Where do I want to put this thing? I don't want to put it. I think it's definitely better than Victoryville. I think it's better than Blastoise. I think it's better than Dodrio and Fearow. I had this thing at low A tier. I think that's a good spot for like mid A tier is I think a pretty good spot for Hypno, right? Yeah, that's good. That's actually a pretty decent spot for it. Next up we have Kingler. I kind of like this Pokemon a lot. It's really silly. I think Kingler's a really funny Pokemon. It gets a one-hit KO move at a really hilariously low level, which is just funny. It has super high attack and defense, and its speed is actually like pretty okay, which makes the Oko move actually kind of like more like appealing. The fact that it's got a decent speed tier. Sword Stance Hyper Beam spam is probably the best thing you're going to be able to do with this thing. It doesn't have like high special, so it's not going to be able to take advantage of its water typing to do much damage with that. So it's very limited on what you can actually do with Kingler. It's pretty much just going to be Sword Stance Hyper Beam spam is your best bet. Unless if you're Giga Chad, I guess you could do, guillotine strats as well. I think this thing is like C tier though. I think Pidgeot's more reliable. I'm gonna put Kingler right there. I don't think I have the heart to put Kingler lower than that. I think it's got a special place in my heart. All right, Electrode. This is the fastest Pokemon in the game, which just immediately gives it tons of uses. But the main problem with it is that its move pool doesn't have any electric type moves, so it's gonna need Thunderbolt, which I guess is actually, to be fair, I've said that about I think the other electric type Pokemon already too. Its special is like decent enough. It's really frail though. This thing is not gonna be able to take any hits, just as like a quick warning. But being the fastest Pokemon in the game does mean it's going to be critting more often than other Pokemon. I think this thing crits like 25% of the time, no matter what. So I think that alone earns Electrode into like, it's in the B tier. It's definitely better than that, but I think Electrode is better than Magneton, better than Raticate. Okay, now we're starting to get into definitely. Okay, it's better than Machamp. I think it's better. Is it better than Raichu? No. Maybe. Yes. Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. I think it's better than Poliwrath. Yeah, yes. Let me think about it again. Yes, I'm going with that. High B tier. We're going there. Ooh, another big boy. We got a big boy. It's time for Exeggutor. I mean, it's really kind of hard to not just glaze this Pokemon. It's a psychic type. It's grass psychic. So it's got all the benefits of being a psychic type. You have to teach it the psychic TM in order for it to learn the psychic type moves, but it uses the psychic TM really, really well. It has all the utility moves of grass Pokemon, so it learns Leech Seed and Sleep Powder. Hell of a combo. Good stats. It's S tier. I think is it better than Nidoking and Nidoqueen? No. But it's S tier. I think it's right there. Actually, no, I think it's better than Nidoking and Nidoqueen, but it's not better than Slowbro, but it's a really good Pokemon. I think it's easy S tier. It's the best grass type in the game. It's an auto include. It will do so much for you in the Elite Four. It's just really good. You just take fucking Exeggutor. All right, next up, we have Marowak. Marowak is, by all accounts, just a worst version of Sandslash. if you want, yeah, if you just want like an okay ground type, just take Sand Slash instead. I don't know. I just really wouldn't pick this thing. It's better than Onyx, it's better than Primate, better than Muck. I think it's better than Rapidash. I think that's fine. It's fine, like it's usable. It's just like, I don't know why I would ever really take it. There's so many better ground types. Oh boy. Okay. We're gonna pull both of these guys up. We have Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. Let's start with Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee, this Pokemon, ooh, this is a high aura Pokemon, okay? This is the most fuck it we ball Pokemon in the entire game. It is an absolute glass cannon. This thing has nothing in the way of defense. It is so frail, and it has a pretty decent attack stat. And also, Hitmonlee only, I think this is the only Pokemon in the game that learns actually like halfway decent fighting type moves. It learns high jump kick, which is 90 accuracy, but it does a lot of damage. But if you miss, you take recoil damage and don't do any damage back. Or you don't do any damage, well, yeah, you just miss, and then you take a bunch of recoil damage. So it's high risk. And in order to take Hitmonlee, you have to give up a way better encounter. But it's kind of the Giga Chad thing to do. Like, this is you are aura farming if you take Hitmonlee over Lapras later. And honestly, I respect the fuck out of that. I can't not hate that. I'm gonna put Hitmonlee in like B tier. It's better than Machamp. I think it's around here. And it's pretty much mostly getting there for the aura, because yeah, this thing can't take a hit to save its life, and every time you're using its better offensive moves, you're gambling. And it doesn't even pay off that well, because fighting type moves or fighting type Pokemon just don't really do like a whole lot. But Hitmonlee, if you pick Hitmonlee, I can't help but respect you. That's like, fuck it, Weeball, you know? And now, in contrast, we have Hitmonchan. This thing is complete fucking garbage. The only cool thing about it is that it learns the elemental punches, which is cool. It gives it some coverage. Its special is only 35. The only thing you can really do with it is fish for status conditions with like Ice Punch or Fire Punch or Thunder Punch. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's F tier. This thing fucking sucks. If you're gonna take one of these two Pokemon, just take Hitmonlee every time and just aura farm. Don't take Hitmonchan. It's just not even worth it. Lickitung, dog shit. Next, Weezing. Weezing is very similar to Muck, but I like it more. I think it's got better stats. It has Explosion, and it's more bulky. And it's doing more of what poison types, I guess, kind of you want them to do in this generation. It's just like it's a good defensive wall, but it's not like that good though. I think I would put it like above Persian. No, I would put it below Persian, but above Dugtrio. For now. Well, I might revisit that one though. We'll do a little. We're gonna do some swapping around later, I think. Right on these fucking nuts. I'm so funny. All right, this might be a slightly hot take, but there's a little bit of debate on who's better, but I think Rhydon is like the slightly better version of Golem, just ever so slightly. It's a little bit more offensive, it has better moves, and it doesn't require trait evolution. Also, I just think it looks cooler. I think Rhydon is like a pretty cool Pokemon. Look, he's like waving at you. He's like a friendly little fellow. How can you, like, look at Golem. Golem's like, bah, like he's trying to spook you. Like that's scary. That's not very friendly. Rhydon is just like, or he's kind of going for a hug. Like he's just like I like his vibe better. He's got a better vibe to him. I like that more. All right, next Pokemon, Chansey. Good fucking luck getting Chansey. It's a super rare encounter in the Safari Zone, and because of how Safari Balls work in Gen 1, there's a very low likely chance of catching Chansey. But if you somehow, on the off chance, do get a Chansey, it's pretty good into the right matchups. It's very binary, so you basically put out Chansey into any special Pokemon, and you never put it out against a physical Pokemon, and that's pretty much how you use it. You dunk on special Pokemon like a ton, but it's useless into physical ones. And I think because it's just so hard to get, like you really can't target it, you can't go for it. It's a lottery base, it's luck. I'm gonna put it in B tier, like right there. But because if you do somehow get it, it's really good at what it does, but it's not always able to do what it does, if that makes sense. Okay, next up we have Tangela. Tangela, it's bulky, It has utility, but it's slow, and its stats are otherwise just not super good. Plus, you get it like right at the end of the game. You get it right before the 8th gym badge, which it can be useful in that gym, but it just doesn't really do enough. It has like sleep powder, it has wrap, so it's not terrible. I think it's like right there. It's like bottom of C. There's a D. I'll think about you. We'll come back to you. All right, next up we have Kangaskhan. This is another really hard Pokemon to get. It's another Safari Zone. It's hard to catch. Good luck getting it. You're probably not going to get it. But if you do, it's got a pretty well-rounded stat block, except for its special. But, I mean, you're not really going to be worrying about special too much. You're probably going to be more focusing on the physical anyways. It has a signature move, Dizzy Punch, which in other games, Dizzy Punch causes confusion. But in this game, it doesn't do anything. So, lol, it doesn't, like, okay. I'm going to put it, like right around there. Honestly, I'm gonna put it in like mid C tier. I just don't I would be excited to get Kangaskhan just for the novelty of getting Kangaskhan, but outside of that, I don't really know what I would be using it for. I just feel like there'd be like better normal type Pokemon to run than Kangaskhan. Next up, Seadra. Where's Seadra? There you are. This is a very underwhelming Pokemon. Its low HP makes it pretty frail. It doesn't really have any particularly super high stats, and its move pool is pretty rough. I think this is like a D tier Pokemon. It's probably like right there. It's just not that great. There's not a whole lot going for it. Gen 2 definitely really did this thing a big favor by giving it an evolution. It really needed it. All right, next up, Seaking. Where are you? Where's Seaking? Let's just make this real quick. Moving on. Starmie. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh mama. Oh geez. This is like the undeniable best Pokemon in the game. Sorry, Alakazam. I just think Starmie is just way better. I know I was saying like Alakazam should go in like the double S tier if there was like a double S tier. If there was a triple S tier though, Starmie would go in there. It's so good. It learns so many moves. Water Psychic. It's fast. It hits hard. It can solo the Elite Four. It doesn't have Amnesia, but that's like fine because it's just so fast that it sweeps through everything. You just don't need to set it up. It's perfect. It's literally perfect. It's perfection. This is the face of perfection right here. It's the best Pokemon in the game. Like I called Alakazam the king of Gen 1, but I lied. I lied to you. It's actually Starmie. Moving on, we have Mr. Mime. This is a glass cannon Pokemon. It's got very, very low defenses. It does have high special, which helps it out. But it also has screen moves as utility, which is kind of cool. But it doesn't learn Psychic by level up, which is really annoying for it. I want to put Mr. Mime in this game in the top of B tier, and I know there's already going to be some Fire Red Leaf Green people saying, oh, I'm underrating Mr. Mime, it's S tier. That's in Fire Red Leaf Green. I understand, it's a way better Pokemon in that game. This is Gen 1. We're not talking about Gen 3. I think Mr. Mime is a solid Psychic type. And also the fact that you have to give up an Alakazam to get Mr. Mime, I think is a little silly. I don't really know why I would make that trade in Gen 1. I could see doing it in Fire Red Leaf Green. Couldn't see myself doing it in Red and Blue. We're almost done? Okay. Oh my god. All right. Scyther is next. This is a Game Corner encounter, which if you want to sell your soul and gamble a ton of money away to get your Scyther, it's gonna take a lot of coins. It's gonna take a lot of grinding. You're gonna be at that one slot machine where it takes you have like slightly better odds, but you'll be there for a long time. But if you do get it, if you do decide to go for Scyther for your Game Corner encounter, which by the way, all Game Corner encounters mean you have to give up your EV, just to put it in some context. It's fat. Like Scyther's is fast and has good offense. It can learn Slash, and it also learns Swords Dance and Agility for that's an insane amount of setup for Gen 1. Not many Pokemon learn both. And it only really learned, but okay, here's the main problem with Scyther. It only learns normal type moves for offensive moves. It's really limited. But the fact that it learns all those setup moves is actually kind of good. I think it's like right there. I think Scyther is at least right there if you want to go for it. That's actually pretty okay. Jinx is an in-game trade, I believe, in Cerulean City, although it takes a little bit to get there. Amazing stab typing for offensive. It's Psychic and Ice. That's pretty crazy. Okay, here's some problems. Number one, it's super frail, so it's going to be kind of difficult to use. Second off, it doesn't learn Psychic moves by level up, so you have to sink the Psychic TM into it. Number three, it doesn't learn Blizzard until the very end of the game. You can certainly get away with using Ice Beam, but but you're gonna probably want to use Blizzard on this thing more than likely, because Blizzard's just like a really fucking good move. But I think Jinx is gonna go like bottom of A tier. That, I mean, just having both Psychic and Ice typing is that's just like really hard to ignore. It might be better than Victory Bell. I don't think it's better than Blastoise. I think Jinx is super risky to use because it's really frail. But outside of that, I think it's really solid. I think A tier is like a pretty good spot for it. Next up, we've got Electabuzz. I never elected him. Not bad stats or move pool. Pretty decent speed tier. It does get outclassed by other electric types you can get by this point in the game, but it's still usable. I have this thing in C tier, but that... Hold on, let me look. Hold on, let me double check something. Let me double check something here. What are your stats? Let's take a look at your stats. You're lacking a little bit in the special department, I guess. I could put you at like the bottom of B tier, I think. I think that's pretty fair. I think maybe high C tier is was a little too rough on you there. I think you're okay, You're okay, Electabuzz. Now let's talk about your counterpart, Magmar. It's got a pretty good stat total, but it's a little oddly distributed. Its attack is higher than its special. I don't really know why you would want that on your fire type. Its move pool's pretty bad, doesn't learn a lot of really good moves, and by the time you get it, which is the Pokemon Mansion, what the fuck are you going to be doing with it? Nothing. So I think I'm going to put you... You're pretty much on par with, like... No, you're worse than Arcanine. You're going right there. I'm going to be honest, a lot of the fire types are just going to be going to D tier. I don't even think there's any fire types left to tier. I think that was the last one. Okay, next up, Pinsir. I hardly know her. Pretty solid stats. Hits hard, and it's not like a terrible speed tier either. So it's another casino encounter. So you got to consider that you got to grind for it. And then on top of that, you also have to consider that you have to give up your Eevee to get it as well. It's a pretty limited move pool. It does learn Swords Dance and Slash in the late game though. That's kind of cool. But it just doesn't really have any coverage, and it's a bug type, and it doesn't really do anything with the fact that it's bug type. I think it's gonna go low B. I mean, it's got good like physical offense. Maybe it's like top of C. I think that's probably top of C, honestly. No, it's like below. It's like right there, I think. Yeah, that's actually seems fair. We're gonna put it right there. Next up, we've got where is it? Tauros. Okay, this is another good luck getting it because it's another rare Safari Zone encounter, and with the way Safari Balls are, you already know, yada yada yada. But if you can get it, this thing is kind of cracked. It's got really good stats, high speed. It can learn so many good moves. Its special actually isn't even that bad if you want to give it like Blizzard or something to give it some coverage. There's like a lot you can do with this thing. This is A tier. I think it's like right there. I think that's a good spot for Tauros. Maybe not more like right there. But yeah, Tauros is very good if you can get it. The main thing, like This thing could potentially be S tier if it was more available, but it's so unavailable, it's really hard to get that like you're more than likely just not going to be getting it. Okay, next we've got Gyarados, everyone's favorite dragon type Pokemon in Gen 1. Haha, am I right? Am I right, folks? Gyarados is dragon. Ha ha, this is a very funny joke. So Gyarados' stat block is insane in this generation. It is 100 special, which that on top of all of its other stats is crazy. In later in Gen 2, when the special stat gets split in the special attack and special defense, its special defense is 100 and then its special attack goes down to 60. In Gen 1, this thing is essentially the equivalent of having 100 special attack and 100 special defense on Gyarados alongside the rest of its stats. That's insane. I think Gyarados is S tier. It's just a huge beat stick. It's a huge stat block. This is in terms of just raw stats, this is the best Gyarados has like ever been. I don't think is it better than Nidoking and Nidoqueen? It's definitely not better than Exeggutor. Ooh, it's like close. It's really close. I'm gonna keep Gyarados right there. It's definitely not the best water type in the game. It's because it's got some stiff competition with Slowbro and Starmie. So I don't think you can really justify putting it that much higher. But it's really hard to not put Gyarados in S tier in this generation. Plus, it's just so easy to get. It's so easy to get Gyarados. All right, next up, we've got Lapras. Water Ice type, guaranteed encounter. Really good stats. Super good into the Elite Four. Learns a lot of good moves, can be built a lot of different ways. I think this is A tier, like right there, like right next to Venusaur. It's like super duper solid. You just can't go wrong with it. Ditto is next. Get the fucking F tier. What are you doing? What are you doing out of there? What are you doing out of your, like, I think this thing is actually so fucking useless though. Like, you have to spend a turn to use a move on Ditto to transform it into a worse version of the Pokemon that you're fighting. It's just straight up garbage. You're basically trolling if you're using Ditto, or you found some like weird cheese strat. Okay, next up, we're hitting the evolutions now. Let's get them up here. Let's just get them all up here. Who do we got first? We got, in my notes, we've got Vaporeon. Just like a really solid water type. It's bulky and it's got good offensive stats, and you can teach it a lot of good TMs. It's just like really good. It's probably, it's similar to Tentacruel. I think Tentacruel might be slightly better, but they're very similar. I would put them in like pretty similar placements there. So yeah, Vaporeon's very good. Jolteon, I think you already know where Jolteon's going. This is contender for one of the best Pokemon in the game. It pretty much will one-shot anything that doesn't resist or is immune to Thunderbolts. It's lightning fast, it's rarely outsped, it's gonna be critting a bunch. I mean, come on, you've already seen the power. Jolteon's just like that fucking good. Come on. And lastly, Flareon. Okay, so we did actually have another fire type tier. I completely forgot about Flareon. Pretty crazy offensive stats. It just doesn't like it doesn't really just have a lot of coverage. It doesn't learn Flamethrower until very late in the game, so it's kind of hard to justify picking Flareon over the other two. I think Flareon's kind of similar to Ninetales in a way. No, it's worse than It's definitely worse than Ninetales. I think Flareon's like right there. It's got to its credit some pretty fucking good stats. In this generation, it doesn't hold on to that in Gen 2. It does get nerfed pretty hard. So this is probably some of the best that Flareon ever actually is in the franchise, at least until it learns Flare Blitz in like Gen 5 or whatever. But it's still not even that good. It's a fire type, and it doesn't really learn great moves until later in the game. But it does have really good stats. Next up is Porygon. Where the fuck are you? Porygon was a Pokemon designed for gambling addicts. I don't know why you would want this thing. It sucks and it takes forever to get in the game corner. Plus you're giving up Eevee for it, which just, I mean, S tier, A tier, C tier, like all these Pokemon are better options than Porygon. Next up, we've got Amistar. We're in the Fasta Pokemon now. Really solid bulk. It's got a weak move pool, so you're going to need to invest some TMs into it. And it also doesn't even learn rock type moves, so its rock typing is purely defensive, which granted rock type is, as a defensive option, is actually pretty okay because of all the normal type moves. So you're going to be resisting a lot of different moves with Amistar. And once you, at the point in the game that you get this thing, you're not encountering a ton of grass type Pokemon or a ton of grass type moves. So your main weakness isn't even, or even electric type Pokemon you're not encountering a lot of. So Amistar is actually pretty good for this point in the game. I think Amistar is like B tier. I think it's like right around there. That seems pretty fair. And then Kabutops. This thing, the only thing it has going for it is it learns Swords Dance. So it's around the same as Farfetch'd. Otherwise, it's not good. Really, the only thing that's keeping it out of F tier is the fact that it learns Swords Dance, and that's like about it. And then we got Aerodactyl. Great stats. It's the second fastest Pokemon in the game. Its attack stat is pretty good. Here's the problem though. It ain't got no moves. Where's the moves? Show me your moves. Where's the moves? It ain't got no moves. So it's got all these stats and nothing it can do with it. It can't even learn. It's a rock type Pokemon, and it can't learn Rock Throw by TM. Why? It can't even learn Earthquake. Like, what does this thing do? It's like right there. Maybe like right there. I don't know. That's about all I can think for that one. Okay, next up. Okay, we got 2 more Pokemon to go. Next up, we've got Snorlax. I think Snorlax is a very easy S tier Pokemon. It is super versatile, super high stats. You can teach it so many different moves. It's an auto, you have 2 chances to catch it. It's pretty much an auto include on your team. You can slot it in and to any team. It will take it to the late game. It will carry you through a bunch of fights. And on top of that, he's got amnesia. He's got amnesia. So that just makes him even like better. I think Slowbro is better because it's got a more interesting stab combo, but Snorlax is just really good. Just like really good in that S tier. S tier is bigger than I thought it'd be. Then again, all these Pokemon are just like that fucking good. They're just undeniably that good. Oh my god, okay. Alright, one last Pokemon that's here. We got Dragonite. Oh my god. We're here. We're at the last Pokemon. Also, I forgot if I mentioned it, but like, I'm not doing the legendaries because my rule set doesn't include legendaries. Anyways, Dragonite. This Pokemon is a pretty late evolution, so you're really only getting it for the Elite Four. It's got really high stats. Dragon typing, it's the only dragon type in the game. And dragon typing has great defensive typing. Unfortunately, you're not going to be doing much into Lorelei because you are times 4 weak to ice. And guess what Lorelei's got? Ice, ice, baby. It's got kind of an awkward move pool, so you're gonna have to throw a bunch of TMs on it. But I think this thing has a wrap, which is very funny. That's just really funny that it's got wrap. I think it's like right here. It's just like it's so you get it so late, and you have to invest a lot into it. And it doesn't even do that much at the point in the game, but it's undeniably got high stats, and it's the only dragon type in the game, and dragon types are really fucking good. All right, I'm gonna take a second here. I'm gonna take a second to look this over, and I'm gonna see if I need to make any changes.
A few moments later.
You know what? Okay, I was looking this over. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with this. This seems pretty good. I think I'm calling it. For the first ever tier list video, this is it. All right, I'm gonna pass this one over, then back to post-production Chev to close out the video. Well, there you have it. That's the full Gen 1 Hardcore Nuzlocke tier list. What did you think? Was I pretty spot on? Did I have any hot takes? Or am I just completely off my rocker? Let me know with your death threats down in the comments below. I'll be sure to engage in some respectful discourse with you. If you enjoyed this type of content, then also please let me know as well. I might be branching out into separate types of content, and if this was fun for you, I might make more videos like this. I certainly had fun putting this all together. And again, if you're new here, be sure to go check out my Every Gen Hardcore Nuzlocke Gauntlet series. You won't regret it. Well, maybe you will. I don't know you that well, but hey, give it a shot. All right then, dear viewers. In the next episode, we're going to be returning to the Gauntlet. Until next time. rest his head on a pillow made of concrete.